All right, coming in at number 67 on our 2024 NHL draft rankings, we're going to the U.S. high school circuit and Shattuck St. Mary's, the home of Sidney Crosby, Zach Parise, and a whole host of NHL talent has come through this school. And how about where he's going next? Will Zellers comes in at number 67, and next year he will be starring at North Dakota. Pilsy, again, we have to quantify this. He's playing at a low-level high school competition, but the numbers are ridiculous. In 54 games, Zellers has 57 goals, full stop. He also has 54 assists, full stop. 111 points in 54 games. Pilsy, do you think hockey is fun for Will Zellers?
I mean, yeah, he's certainly well, actually, Ross, maybe it isn't fun when you're dominating this much 2-point per game pace. Maybe he's getting kind of bored out there. So it's good news, Ross, for us to know that he's going to Nodak. And Ross, we talked about, I forget which player it was. Maybe you can refresh my memory, but there was a guy that decommitted from Michigan State and is now going to Michigan that we talked about.
Christian Humphreys.
Yes, thank you. Christian Humphreys. I don't think we have to worry or ever had to worry about Will Zellers decommitting from Nodak. This guy loves Nodak. Our good friend Brad Schlossman wrote an article about Zellers. I believe it was last September. And this guy's a Nodak guy. He wore a onesie to a Nodak game before he could even walk.
He was one of those guys, they do the Simba cam there. He was one of those kids that's being held up in the rink.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Zellers, he loves Nodak. His grandparents live in the area, so he'd always go there. He named his dog.
His grandparents met at the school.
Oh, well, what a beautiful story. There you go. He named his dog Besser after Nodak player Brock Besser.
You want to feel old? He was 10 years old when Besser and Christian Wolanin won the Natty that year. 10 years old, this kid.
Well, hey, Ross, you named your dog Alfie, so nothing wrong with people naming their dogs after some of their favorite hockey players.
When I was 10 years old, Alfie hit Darcy Tucker from the side and went to the front of the net and scored. That's my age recognition to Will Zellers with Brock Besser, and that makes me feel very old.
Yeah, that's fair. So there, if you guys are concerned about him decommitting from Nodak, put that out of your minds.
Yeah, he's not going to pull a Stephen Halliday.
Yeah, or yeah, exactly. So it's really tough for me to get a hold of how to properly evaluate a guy that rips it up in the high school circuit, especially playing at Shattuck St. Mary's, as you mentioned, one of the most prestigious spots for hockey players to develop. So it's tough for me to really gauge how good this guy actually is. We're going to have to wait and see to see him in college because, Ross, he did play some time in the USHL. Now, by play some time, I mean literally he played one game with the Green Bay Gamblers in 2022, 2023, but he scored a goal in that game. So, I mean, this kid's obviously pretty good. It'll be interesting to see how he does in the college circuit, or I shouldn't say circuit, in the college league.
I said circuit earlier this show, so that's on me.
Maybe that's why I've got that in my head. But for a guy that seemingly only puts up points, I think it's going to be very beneficial for him to go to a coach like Brad Berry that'll help instill some defensive attributes to his game as well.
Will Zellers is 5'10", 163 pounds, an April 06 birthday, plays left wing, shoots left, and Scott Wheeler has him at 48 on his rankings. McKean's down at 95. Elite prospects and honorable mention just out of the top 96. So that's an average of 71.5. But I love the write-up that Scott Wheeler gave him, talking about how he's really quite talented, thinks he's a B or B plus prospect, and says there's clear talent. The question is whether it'll translate, and talking about like he could even be a top performer in college as soon as next year. He has that upside, that talent. And if you think about a mid-round pick that just went to North Dakota, ultimately just signed with Carolina, and that's from 2 years ago, Jackson Blake, who was a Hobie Baker finalist this year. So I think that you're looking at another kind of talented, raw prospect, but man, the talent is clearly there for Will Zellers. Will Zellers comes in at number 67. Pilsy, how many Sens stars for this Nodak commit?
So I gave Will Zellers 3 stars here. I think he's going to be a nice player. I'm interested to follow along with him. Obviously, we have a slight bias to Nodak, as the Nodak Sens era was a very fun time for us. And you and I have been to the Ralph. You've been there a handful of times. So yeah, 3 stars, I think, is where I land for Zellers.
All right. Will Zellers, let us know in the comments, and check us out for more draft profiles at Locked On Senators.